welcome to this next video for chemistry review. This one's going to be about stoichiometry, and I'm going to do a couple of these stoichiometry videos. And we're going to just keep things basic in this first one. So what do I mean by basic? Well, a question like this. How many moles are there in 98 grams, 98.0 grams of SO2? That's a capital O. So how do you do a problem like this? Well, this one's actually pretty simple. First, find the molecular weight which I'll be abbreviating as MW, for the compound you are looking at. So we have SO2. Well, we have one S, and according to the periodic table here, S has a mass of about 32. That's a capital S there. So that's 32 grams per mole. For oxygen, we have two of them. And again, from our periodic table, oxygen is 16. And 2 times 16 is also 32. And when we add them up, we get 64 grams per mole. Now, use the factor label method to determine number of moles or grams. Depending upon the question. So I start with 98.0 grams of SO2, and it's 1 mole of SO2 for every 64 grams of SO2. Units cancel. I get 98.0 over 64, which is approximately 1.5 moles. And that's all there is to ones like these. We can even go the opposite direction. How many grams? So here's a new question. Of HCl are there in 3 moles? So I have HCl. For H, I have 1 times, and if I look it up, here's H, it's about 1. And that gives me 1 gram per mole. And for Cl, I also have 1. And its mass is looks to be about 35. Your professor will let you know exactly how much to round to. I'm just doing round numbers to keep the math fairly simple. So 35 grams per mole. And we add them up, we get 36 grams per mole. So I start with 3 moles. I want the units to cancel out, so this time I have 36 grams on top over 1 mole. And 3 times 36 is 108 grams. So that's pretty much all there is to basic stoichiometry like that. It gets a little bit more challenging when you get a reaction. So let's say here's your reaction. H2 plus, N2, sorry about that, goes to NH3. And the question is, how many grams of H2 are needed to make 50.5 grams NH3 if there is excess N2. Now, like I was saying before, there's a process for everything. So first, balance the reaction. You cannot do anything else until you balance the reaction. So let's see, I have H2 plus N2 goes to NH3. How am I going to balance this? Well, I know I'm going to need 2 of these. So I have 2 N's, 2 N's. Now I have 6 H's. So I just throw a 3 in front of here and there's 6 H's. Alright, so balanced. Next, find moles of given mass. Paper slanted a little bit. Now you can skip this step if you're already given mass. Can skip step if you already have moles. Alright, but we can't do anything more until we have moles. So I have 50.5 grams of NH3 times 1 mole over, and for NH3 it's about 17 grams. And that gives us 2.97 moles NH3. Now, I know I'm playing a little fast and loose with the units here. I've got grams of NH3 and then grams, and sometimes moles of it and sometimes not. However, it's easy for you to follow the units. Alright, but grams are necessary, moles are necessary. You don't need to include the compound if you don't want to. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the reaction to find moles of the unknown. And the way I do that is, let me make sure I got the reaction on the screen here. I know I have 2.97 moles of NH3. Now, if I go back up to here, it's 3H2 for every 2 NH3. So now the NH3s cancel out, and I'm left with moles of H2. And 2.97 times 3 over 2 gives you about 4.46 moles of H2. Finally, use moles of unknown to find mass of the unknown. So I have 4.46 moles of H2. Now be careful, this is H2 when you go to look up the mass. It's 2 grams for every 1 mole. Which gives me 8.92 grams of H2. All right, I know there were a lot of steps there, so we're going to do one more problem like this. But I'm going to keep referring back to these 4 steps. So, here's the new question. How many grams of Fe2O3 are made when 50 kilograms, and I'm going to underline this now just so people can see that, 50 kilograms of iron react with excess O2. Alright, so how many grams of Fe2O3 are made when 50 kilograms of Fe react with excess O2? Okay, so here's the reaction. Here's my reaction. Remember, first is the balance reaction. So when I balance this, I'm going to need 3 of these, 2 of these, and 4 of these. So I end up with 4 Fe plus 3 O2 goes to 2 Fe2O3. Now, moles given. Only trick with this one is because I have 50 kilograms, I need to go to grams. Times 1,000 grams for every kilogram. Times, now I go to my periodic table. Here's Fe, and a little hard to see because it's in the red there, but it's about 56 times 1 mole of Fe for every 56 grams of Fe. And when I do all that out, I get 893 moles of Fe. All right, moles needed. So I have 893 moles times, I go back up to here, and it's 2 Fe2O3 for every 4 Fe's. And I end up with 446.5 moles of Fe2O3. And finally I go to mass. I have 446.5 moles times, and Fe2O3's mass is about 160. And when I multiply those together, I get 71,440 grams of Fe2O3. Alright, so that's basic stoichiometry. Now the next video that I'm going to put up has to deal with when you don't have the word excess up here. Alright, so when the word excess isn't there, what do you do? And that'll be the next video. So I'll see you there.